What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Phantom Effect Podcast. As always, I am your host, Vishido Geek, aka the Shogun of Fandom, bringing to you some awesome new episodes every week, each and every week, and brought to you by the newest member of the Phantom Effect family. Even though it sounded like you were sponsoring it, but you're not. But
nope,
I'm rolling
giving
with
this
it.
no money.
But I'm rolling
doesn't
with
pay
it anyway.
me either.
No, I don't pay anyone.
No.
You pay me, actually. So it's a really weird dynamic, but
Oh yeah,
it's just, I mean, what are you going to do, right? Like, I can't, don't rock the boat, you know? Like, let's keep it, you know, why rock it, you know?
What are you rocking?
Well, kind of. But thanks for everyone for joining today. Just make sure if you make it to the end of this episode, stay tuned for not only your fandom experience of the week, but also make sure you like and subscribe as well. And just stay tuned to the end for other fun stuff. But we're back with a repeat panel, or, well, I guess panel slash episode slash possibly just future show. So enjoy it now while you can, because this might turn into just a pure show.
Yeah.
And then you guys won't get as many fun stuff like this.
You won't listen to me for 40 minutes ramble.
Exactly. But we're back with another edition of Between the Panels. And if this is your first Between the Panels, I will briefly explain what we're doing. So Between the Panels is a concept that started a little while ago where we dive in to superhero, supervillains, et cetera, et cetera. Really not just limited to DC or Marvel. It can literally be DC, Marvel, plans to jump into more independent, like independent comics, like some of the artists that we bring on. Eventually, we'd like to do this concept with them and have them talk about how they would rank their heroes and everything like that, and stuff like that. We've done Booster Gold, Red Hood, and so this is our third installment of Between the Panels, and today we're doing the first Marvel person that we've done so far. I think I don't remember if we did a third one or not. Everything blurs together at a certain point. But we're doing one you really wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Wiccan.
This is my
favorite
a
young Avenger. Now, I don't know anything about Wiccan, so I will just be doing kind of some basic stuff. But you did. So you bringing up Wiccan made me think of something that I just started collecting. Because I have scaled down my pull list massively to it's only two comics down there now. Yeah,
barely anything.
But because I've wanted to get more into the hunt of finding runs to collect. Mm-hmm. So I've started to collect the 2010 run of Black Knight.
Okay.
Because it's kind of right up my alley, and so you made me think of someone else, like a potential future Between the Panels of doing Black Knight. Because not many people know a lot about him, but I keep hearing apparently he's referenced in
Eternals.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Eternals, but a friend was talking to me about it, about the after credits, and was like,
yes,
was like, hey, I gotta ask your opinion on something, and I was like, yeah, sure, and they were like, you didn't see Eternals, right? I'm like, no. They're like, do you care about a after movie spoiler, like an end credit spoiler? And I was like, no, that's not really a spoiler for the movie, like that's just a separate thing. And they brought up the fact that Black Knight is believably referenced is because he wasn't sure if it was Black Knight or not. So he asked me, he was like, because you just started reading Black Knight, right? And I'm like, well, I haven't started, but I've collected and I've been reading up on the lore. So I'm starting to learn about Black Knight. And he said a bunch of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like Black Knight's going to be popping into the Marvel universe in one of the movies. So that'd be a good one to do because it's topical. But we're here today to talk about Wiccan. So as always, guys, I will not only start off by reading a brief description and profile, not the whole thing, but a brief part of it on what Marvel has. So I don't go to the wiki. I like to read it like what the actual website is, like DC, Marvel, etc. Says that it is, because I'm like, let's see how you're referencing your hero is to be. As the official mascot of the Phantom Effect podcast makes his annual appearance.
Is he asking for your phone?
Yes, he wants to watch Spy Ninjas.
Oh, good for him.
Which is like these, I don't know, it's just a bunch of people that got YouTube famous for making videos and
like Ryan's World.
Yeah, like Ryan's World. Yeah, don't do that, please. Like Ryan's World. Yeah, it's just different people. It's the same thing. It's just it's just different people. He really likes this one though. So Wiccan, according to so if you just go to just the main marvel.com/character/Wiccan, before you even go into the profile or anything. And stay tuned. Because at the end, I'm not gonna go over what their power rankings or anything until the very end, and then I'll go over what Marvel says their powers are, and we'll rate them to what we'd think it could possibly be. But Marvel says Wiccan, as a young Avenger, Wiccan puts his powerful magical abilities to help protect and serve humanity. The young sorcerer, even though I feel like it should be, isn't that supposed to be called warlocks?
So,
Is that?
do you want me to start going off now? Because I will.
No, but I'm leading the question because I already know kind of the answer. Like I half know it, but I know you know it. But I'm just like, again, for people that don't know who Wiccan is or comics or things like that, that could be confusing. Also, expressed heritage is the reincarnation of Scarlet Witch and Vision. So he's their kid, obviously. He shows, obviously they show up in the show. Well, them as kids.
Correct.
Obviously show up. And so I'm looking, I clicked on the wrong thing here. It brought me to like connections in comics. Okay, so their biography is just that. Okay, so he's wide-ranging, powerful magical abilities. He can use much more than his mother's magic as he learns to expand his powers. Blah, blah, blah. And when he was young, Billy kept noticed he was gay and took a lot of views from his classmates. Did stuff.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for like just a generic description because I will say DC makes it simple. When you go to their thing, it just very quickly will show you like here before it shows you all the comics and powers. It just says like here's a brief synopsis of who they are. That's kind of what I was looking for. But why don't you tell me what's a brief synopsis of Wiccan?
So Wiccan, just as a general thing to describe him as to people, he's not dead. He is one of the Young Avengers, which was a group that started when the Avengers disbanded, who didn't know what he was. He just had superpowers, and he didn't know where they came from. But it's very similar to the Scarlet Witch's powers, considering that's his mom. So it's the same kind of aspect. However, this is how he does the spells. He just kind of chants on what he wants. So if he just wants to teleport himself to the next room over, he just goes, I want to be in the next room, 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 until he's just in the next room. So I think it's kind of funny that he has to verbally say it out loud, and he can't hear it, he can't do it. So he has to be able to hear himself chanting. So like if he has no voice, man can't use his powers.
If he's got a sore throat, man, you're out of commission.
Yes, which I thought was like an interesting... It's just like an interesting thing to do to him.
It's an interesting...
Can't make him too OP.
It's an interesting handicap.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I just punch you in the vocal cord really hard...
Right.
You won't be able to use your powers.
No, because there was a part in Young Avengers Volume 2 where Kid Loki literally put him in like this box that like no noise, so he couldn't use his powers.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. And we will dive into the comics and the lore and everything like that and kind of just general thoughts. Most of this, again, was stuff that I was reading for the first time because I'm now dabbling in Marvel comics, but again, you got to start from somewhere, and I'm starting with Black Knight, so it's going to be a while before I jump to a lot of other stuff because I know DC, I know their lore, all that history and stuff. And
see, that's what I'm here for, because I'm the Marvel expert. You can be the DC expert, and together.
Yeah, and eventually I'll catch up my knowledge. But if you've enjoyed the other, as I stumble, the other between the panels, one thing I always like to do is talk about the very first appearance of their comic and how expensive it is. So if comic collecting or first appearance is something that you like to collect, Vision and Scarlet Witch number 12,
Volume 2.
Yeah, Volume 2. A CGC, which is the grading system for comics, of an 8. So it's up to, I think, no, 10 is the highest. There's a 9.9. I always get that confused if it's 9.9 or 10.
10 would make sense.
Hold on, take over very quickly. I have to go yell.
Great. Here I go. So, the first appearance of Billy and Tommy, his twin brother, who goes by the alias of Speed. He has the same powers as his uncle, Pietro. First appeared in Vision and Scarlet Witch, Volume 2, number 12, is when the Scarlet Witch gives birth to them. And as a fun fact, Doctor Strange is her OBGYN. And that's hilarious to me. But it kind of goes back a couple comics. Number 3 is Vision and Scarlet Witch go to New Salem, where they have to fight a bunch of other witches. And she had like a premonition almost of her teacher, Agatha Harkness, who you get to see in WandaVision. I forgot what it was called for a second there. Oops. And then that is where she like gets the idea to just like magic herself kids. But that's number 3. And we go back to 12. Hi.
Yeah. Sorry, he's officially now broken 2 of my Lord of the Rings necklaces, and this one was very expensive, so I was a little upset.
That's understandable.
Yeah. It got stuck on something. He knew he wasn't supposed to be doing something and did something he wasn't supposed to. So Cameron is now grounded.
Poor Cameron.
But not going to get, it's whatever. I can eventually get a new chain, but not anytime soon, so.
Right.
Anywho, generally, if you want to get a first appearance, like I was mentioning really quickly, it's gonna run you about $90+ for a CGI 8. So anything higher is gonna probably be, based on what I've seen on past CG rated stuff. If you go to a 9, it's like usually like $40-$50 more, and then if you go even higher than that, it's like another $40-$50 more.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine like a 9.9, which I think is the highest you can go. I don't know if you can do 10 or not, but if you,
no idea.
It's gonna run like an insane amount. Like, so here's just a random. Okay, so I found a 9.2, which is fairly higher. It's 150.
My bad.
So that's that's about 150, $160 more for just over like 1.2 higher. So I would imagine if you go any higher than that, it's gonna. Okay, you know what? I'm finding some good stuff. So a 9.8.
Oh.
Someone's selling on eBay for way too much, but they're selling it for $500, which is too much. It's too much. 500 is too much. But I mean, that's comics like that. They go for a buyer. They go for a seller's market. So sometimes it makes sense to pick up issue number. I mean, sometimes it's very rare though. It's because sometimes first appearances doesn't matter. Like the first appearance of Booster Gold, you can get a signed grade 9.5 for like 150.
Wow.
Like sometimes first appearances, like just either they're going to be worth something one day or they're going to be worth nothing.
It's a good thing I collected all of the stuff before they got popular.
Yeah, but you made me think that yours is in terrible shape.
No, but I did. I got all my stuff before the Young Avengers and any of those characters got popular. So I was picking that shit up for like $3.
Yeah. And again, though, it's crazy. Like a single fold will take it from like a 9.9 to like an 8.5.
Right. See, I don't give a shit about grading or any of that kind of stuff.
No, it's crazy how that stuff goes sometimes. So Wiccan, what makes Wiccan, I guess, because again, he hasn't really, to my knowledge, he hasn't been in any TV show or anything, right?
Besides from WandaVision, no.
Because not even then, like you can kind of count it, but
it's their kid version.
Yeah, but like,
I'm really hoping because at the end of WandaVision, at that like end credit thing, it was the kids like yelling for her to come save them. I'm hoping that ends with them being older, like all the other Young Avengers that we have out right now, which are mid to late teens. Because we're only missing like Teddy from the Young Avengers group. And I need that sweet, sweet Young Avengers TV content.
Right. What would be like? What would be like the first? I guess what would you want to see in a show?
You know?
Like what do you where do you go, right? Because he's got crazy powers from his parents. You know, probably one of the more prominent, uh, like gay bisexual superheroes, just because of the fact that it wasn't something that happened like later in life. It literally says that he knew from like
Oh yeah.
immediately. Because I know there's some stuff with Superman going on right now and stuff, but I would say this is like one of the original. Like this was written for him from the start. It wasn't like written in later. It didn't
Oh
change
yeah.
directions.
And the
Like
comic, the first Young Avengers comic comes out in 2005. So they've been
right, yeah,
so they had that like way back when. This isn't some new trend that they're getting on with now. No. This man has been dating the other man for a long time. And just now, so this past summer, I believe it was, Marvel released a comic run called Empire, and it was like massive. It had 8 different like shoot offs. It had like, oh, I've got all my comics cataloged. It had like I typed out all my comics for it. It came out to be a page and a half.
for Wiccan.
No, for Empire, the one I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
He is one of the main characters in that because Teddy Altman, his now husband, but at the time fiance, he is the king of space. He is half Kree, half Skrull, because
Of course.
his dad was the OG Captain Marvel from like the Kree army, and his mom is the princess. Well, she's dead now. Spoiler alert. She's dead. But was the princess of like the Skrull planet. So like they found him, yoinked him off Earth to like lead and bring together the two alien like races. And that whole thing is about him leading those two groups to fight against the, and I don't know if I ever pronounced this right or if I just pronounced it like that in my head. The Kotati is
Sure.
like a race of like tree people.
So Ents.
Kinda, yeah. But one of them's really hot. So it's kind of
So
funny.
not Ents.
Not Ents, but like humanoids, but trees.
Got it. Definitely
Yeah.
not Ents.
Definitely not Ents.
Definitely not Ents in that
Yes.
case.
But like they had that planted. Like you can reference back to like in that run back to all the way from the 70s.
Right.
Because the person who is trying to take over in charge of the plant people is actually Mantis's son. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And all of that, all of that started back in like the 70s with the Celestial Madonna run. So it's just interesting to me.
So there's like obviously there's a lot like so what so I don't really know much about the Young Avengers. What like what's the significance of him being in like I don't know like what is he really like okay so like we usually will dive into like different stuff like what are his obviously being the son of Scarlet Witch you're gonna have some crazy powers
Right.
but like what does he really do in the comics for in terms of his powers like what can he do I know you mentioned like he can't use them if he can't talk but like what can he do
Well, when he first started figuring out his powers, what he could do was like he could like fly, and I say like fly, like air quotes, and he could shoot lightning, which is the first things he figured out how to do with his powers. So this man decided to base himself off of Thor. So his first outfit is very like Thor-esque. He's got like the same kind of like helmet-ish. It's like a headband with like the wings, and he has a staff, and he's got like the circles like on the Thor outfit and other Asgardian kind of outfits. And he called himself the Asgardian. Okay. Kate, I think it was Kate or Cassie, members of his team were like, "Hey, maybe being a gay man, you shouldn't have a name called Asgardian. But your boyfriend's ass like that."
Just maybe.
Yeah. So that was his original, like, go at it when he first started being a superhero. He was very, like,
Right.
Asgardian themed until he realized he could do more than just fly and shoot lightning.
Hmm.
So, yeah. That was his
So
beginning.
it seems like I'm reading some stuff here. He eventually, like, people keep trying to, like, take over his mind because he can essentially break reality.
Oh, 100%. Loki in the second volume running, it's like kid Loki, not like grown up Loki. It's kid Loki tries to, like, yoink his powers so he can go run amok. And he did for like a hot second, and then he took him back.
Cameron. Okay, then I'm reading something with, like, him and a wizard, Mordoon, the evil wizard Mordoon, like, tries to, like, kidnap him and stuff to, like, break reality.
Multiple times he's been also locked up too. Like the Avengers tried locking him up because he just got a little angry. Not angry. He popped off a little too hard one day, and they thought it was going to be the same thing like what Wanda did when she popped off a little too hard one day and went no more mutants and pretty much murdered a million people.
Right, yeah, she murdered, like, everyone, and then they were finally getting it back, yeah.
So the Avengers were afraid Billy was going to do that too, so then they tried locking him up. It lasted about 5 minutes. His brother can run so fast, he can just, like, go through walls. So his brother was like, "Time to go," and whisked him out.
Right, because it says that, so his evil thing is Demiurge, which, come on, man.
I don't think that's how you pronounce that.
I don't know, but
I'm trying to look up what the heck you're trying to read. Oh, Demurger.
Yeah.
Demurger?
Demerge or something?
Yeah, it's supposed to be... It's something weird. They, like, did something with it in Volume 2, and then they never did anything with it after that. It's like the same thing at the end of Volume 1. It shows them kind of in the future as Billy wearing, like, the same kind of clothes as Doctor Strange. So it shows that he takes over the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. But they've done nothing with it right now.
Got it.
So I just think it's a little funny that they keep, like, subtly mentioning things and then never running with it.
Well, I mean, welcome to comics, I guess. Like,
truly,
how many times do they, like, tease something? Like, the only thing I know is, like, Red Hood is just now for the first time in, like, 10 years, like, using his swords and stuff.
His current title is Crown Prince Consort and Court Wizard. That his current title after he married Teddy Altman, King of Space.
Right. So he likes lots of titles, I guess. So because he is fairly new, right? We said, like, what, 2005?
2005 is his, besides from the first appearance back in 80, what was it? What did I say? 86? Yeah, that was the first time you see him.
Do you think that's because of the trend with, like, Marvel, and I guess to an well, like, DC is really not doing it yet. Marvel is, though, like, where they're trying to get away from the same, like, 10 people that have been known for 60, 70 years, and they're trying to establish, like, whether it's kids or replacements or...
Oh, 100%.
Because, like, DC, it's the same people, you know, it's regardless of whatever, it's just a reboot. Here, we'll slightly change people. Like Red Hood's, it was, okay, he's not going to use guns anymore because he made a mistake, and now he's going to finally use his swords, and we're going to tap into the magic part of who Red Hood was. But it's still Red Hood.
Right.
Whereas Marvel has been, like, slowly trying to introduce replacements for people. So, yeah, so you said, like, that's probably the whole reason why Wiccan came about?
I think that whole unit is, like, that's the reason why the whole unit came about, like the Young Avengers. Because I do think that, because, like, This past like year and a half, like when Empire started coming out and like a little bit prior to that,
Right.
him and Teddy and the other Young Avengers just started popping up everywhere. Like you see
Yeah.
Kate Bishop now has pretty much her own TV show with Hawkeye right now. And she took over the
Right.
mantle of Hawkeye back when Young Avengers came out.
Yeah, and there's replacements for Iron Man and Captain and
Well,
everybody.
I
Well,
don't
kind of
know
Captain, but
what they want to do with this too for Young Avengers because in Young Avengers they had Iron Lad, which was actual King the Conqueror, younger version that came back from the future to talk to like start up the Young Avengers. So I don't know if they're gonna do that, Iron Lad, or do
go back to
Iron Heart.
Ironheart.
Yes, I don't know what they're gonna do
Let's
for
go
Young
with
Avengers with that.
let's go with rework both names and workshop the entire idea because they have butchered. Uh, just based on what I've seen, they've butchered Iron Man replacement pretty bad.
Right. Well, the Iron Man replacement for the Young Avengers comic wasn't really just a replacement. It was just
Right.
future tech that
Yeah,
just
and then
came
it's
back from
what
the future.
it's X-32 for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Is kind of his replacement. I don't know. What do you? Well, like other than some of the major ones, like obviously there's so many Spider-Man but they're not really introducing somebody new besides Miles Morales. I guess is the
Right.
newest.
Peter Porker.
Yeah. I don't know. It's obviously it's all speculation, but do you think it's because? Obviously, in his brother's Speed. Just make sure we mention that. So just another speedster. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
No,
you
he
know.
claims he's faster than Quicksilver, and in one
Sure.
comic
Yeah.
they did race. Although
Do we actually
Quicksilver
get?
was well, Quicksilver it was in the Children's Crusade where they're trying to look for Wanda because Wanda went missing, and they're trying to like be like, "Mom." No.
I mean, in the movies, man, nobody can absorb bullets like Quicksilver. Guy hits him hard. He's so
I
fast. He catches them all.
hate you
He catches. He just.
so
I mean,
much.
I'm saying how fast he was. He caught all of the bullets. You
How?
know,
I hate you for that one.
he caught all of the bullets. That
That hurt me. I'm
it's
wounded.
really impressive.
I'm
Like
wounded.
it's really impressive.
Don't do that to me.
But I don't know. Do you think Marvel is they're doing it because they want to establish like a new line of heroes, or do you think it's like they're trying to separate themselves a little bit? Because like I said, DC it's the same. It's always been the same consistent thing.
No, I think they are trying to like start like a new line of heroes because like you can only beat a dead horse so hard, and you can only get so much
Right.
content out of that.
And so again, speculation on my part, but my thought process would be that they're doing that because all comic sales are down naturally, but DC in particular is still crushing Marvel when it comes to comic book sales.
Right.
So I don't know if maybe that had a part to play in it. They just realized that their heroes weren't keeping up, and so
Which I don't know. This is a hot
Because
take, and you know how I
it
feel about
is.
DC.
it is,
Not a big fan
But-
of DC.
but like DC, they're very set. I mean, people have at least agreed to the consistency of like DC owns in TV, animated movies,
Mm-hmm.
and comics,
Mm-hmm.
and Marvel owns in
Movies.
and movies.
Live action TV shows.
Yeah, so they've kind of got their set areas, and like obviously DC is trying to do some things to make their movies overall a little bit better.
Mhm.
Ironically, by hiring Marvel movie directors,
Right.
or but so I don't know, but I think in Marvel did have some good TV shows. Like I mean, by far the best I think, just in terms of ratings and everything else, was Agents of Shield was probably their biggest success in terms of TV.
Well, that went on for how many seasons?
Seven
See?
or eight. Everything
See,
else that
I
Marvel's
remember when I
done
stopped watching.
goes like 2 or 3.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But again, that's just my thought. Is that maybe they just saw the comic sales and realized that, and then maybe it was that combined with when they started doing movies, they realized that these movies had a shelf life, and that if they didn't start introducing different people into the movies and stuff, that eventually they would just run out of stuff, and you run into the trap of just essentially doing what Fantastic Four is doing, where instead of being able to introduce new blood or do anything like different or exciting or anything, you're regulated to just recasting the same role over and over again.
Right.
So if that's what Marvel is long-term thinking, then that's super smart, because you're setting yourself up for a long-term success. Whereas, yeah, you can argue with, okay, actually, you know what? The better example for DC would be Batman, because every time they come up with, even if it's a new idea, right? You know, Batman Year 2, because essentially, the movie with Edward, what's his name?
Edward, no, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Edward Pattinson.
Yeah. They're doing Year 1 to Year 2 Batman, which is the first time they've done it that early on. Gotham obviously did the upbringing of it, and then obviously they've done different iterations of it and everything. But DC, like I said, like every 10 years, it's not like they can do Batman 10 years down the road. Like, and that, you know, like their only options are recast him or do Batman Beyond, because DC hasn't done a good job of establishing the other people other than Robin. Like, Red Hood would be an amazing live action movie if they did it correctly. It'd be awesome.
You just don't want to see him on Titans?
No. I'm afraid to watch it. I have to watch it, but I'm afraid to, because it's Red Hood on a TV show, so I have to watch it. But I think that, yeah, I think that's their shows. I think that's DC's attempt to try to do what Marvel's doing with maybe new comics, is stuff on HBO Max is DC's attempt to establish other people that could be in movies, you know, Doom Patrol,
right?
People in Titans, like bringing it more to a live action sense, which is great. But I don't know, are they doing, I can't remember what they teased for Young Avengers. I don't know if they teased anything yet.
I really don't think so. They just keep giving us other Young Avengers. Like, we've got Kate Bishop.
Okay, so technically Young Avengers was an animated show, but back in 2013.
Right. That's not now.
But, yeah.
No, I want live actions.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Which I don't... that's the trick, though, because... I don't know, do you think... It's weird, because like Marvel is owned by Disney, but they can't... They kind of have to do the stuff that... Even though they get to do their own thing, they still have to go with what Disney approves. You know, Disney's going to approve most of what they do, but let's be honest, it's Disney. Do you see Disney approving Wiccan nowadays for a live action?
What do you mean? As in what?
Because he's gay, because it's
no, they
Disney.
Literally have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously they won't change that. I'm saying, like, Disney being so like by the book family values. Do you see them letting Marvel kind of push it a little bit?
No, I seriously think they're gonna have to allow literally Wiccan and his entire character. The only thing I think they would try and change would be his name. Wiccan. It didn't really make sense when he chose it, but we've stuck with it this far because it was better than Asgardian.
Yeah. So,
but like, I feel like they're gonna get pressured into having to do it if they want to do anything with the rest of the Young Avengers. They're gonna have to, because him and his boyfriend play such a big part in all of it. They can't do it without them. So I feel like Marvel and / the fandom is gonna have to like finger gun them to death.
Yeah. So
to make this happen.
Yeah. So I found an interesting article that we can close to wrap up on, and it's so far the Young Avengers cast that has technically been revealed and or could be in the Young Avengers that's been shown in the movies at some point. Obviously, it's speculation because Marvel can literally change their minds on anything at any moment that they want.
Correct.
So obviously, Kate Bishop being Hawkeye, that's brand new, and that's there. Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie Lang, being Stature.
Which, spoiler alert, she dies in Young Avengers, and that's so sad.
Well,
I don't know if I'd be able to like.
Someone's got to.
Well, here's the thing.
Don't worry, we still have Ant-Man. We still have Ant-Man.
Well, here's the thing. In the storyline of Volume 1 Young Avengers, Ant-Man's dead. Her dad, Scott, rip. He's got his own like statue at Avengers Mansion. When I told you Iron Lad is from the future, they fuck up and they like mess up the multiverse or whatever.
Yeah.
And the consequences of them fucking up the future and the timeline and things like that, Cassie dies and Scott's alive. So it's very upsetting for a father to come back to life to witness the death of his daughter.
Right, but not to knock how amazing potentially Stature is, but Ant-Man's better.
Oh my god.
So Elijah Bradley as Patriot.
Correct. We saw him in
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Correct.
And then obviously Scarlet, like the Scarlet Witch show, does technically introduce Wiccan and Speed. So technically they're introduced, and they have already kind of teased because of how much reality warping she was doing. They already had aged so quickly. They could very easily be like, yeah, no, they're just teenagers now, and that's just kind of what happened.
I'm hoping. I need them to be teenagers and older.
Yeah. America Chavez is Miss America.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't show up until Volume 2.
Right. And then I actually still have not finished Loki, but Kid Loki does kind of show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's also in Volume 2.
Yeah. And then Iron Lad obviously shows up in Iron Man 3 and in Endgame. So a lot of people, there's the contemplation that with the new Ant-Man movie introducing Kang the Conqueror, that Iron Lad will potentially show up.
Yeah.
In the third Ant-Man movie because of Kang the Conqueror. I mean, again, speculation, but you know.
There's a lot of things I hope for that I never
Right. Get. Yeah, and then Miss Marvel's already been announced, but Kamala Khan, so that's going to be a show on Disney Plus. That's already been announced.
Right.
They've already, Ironheart has been teased.
The only one we're literally missing is his husband, Teddy Altman, and
and then obviously with the new movies, Miles Morales has been teased with the animated movies. They've kind of introduced
but like
all that.
They're not part of.
No, it's a separate thing, but again, so far, you've gotten 6 or 7 people that have been teased and or announced in their own thing, so they could potentially do something.
Literally the entire group but Teddy, and I'm just waiting for the day he shows up. I'm itching, literally.
Yeah. So what we do now as we wrap up is I'm gonna go over what Marvel says his powers are. I think Marvel goes onto a rating of 7, up to 7. I think is their website rating.
Out of 7.
Yeah. Well, that's what Marvel does, and then for us, what we do here is we give it a personal rating. So like where we personally, with being as biased as you want, give them a rating out of 10. And then we have to give them a non-biased rating of where their ranking 1 out of 10 is in the universe itself. Like how important are they to the universe, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know how to give them... not be biased.
You have to. Yeah, you're a professional now. So I'm just going to go, again, we just give it those 2 1 out of 10s. I'll go first, but I'm going to read what Marvel says their powers are. We don't rank these, but this is just what Marvel says. Durability, 4 out of 7. Energy, 5 out of 7. Fighting skills 2 out of 7.
Yeah.
Intelligence 2 out of 7.
Wait.
Speed 7 out of.
He deserves a little more than a 2. There are times where yes, he is an idiot, but like.
Hence probably the 2.
We can look past it.
Well, because again, remember the comparison. the scale is that like a 7 out of 7 would be Charles Xavier.
I guess.
Like, speed 7 out of 7, but probably because of how fast he can use his powers.
Correct.
Strength 2 out of 7 because he's just a regular, barely above average. That's what Marvel is rated their random powers. DC doesn't have anything like that on their website. But okay, so for me, not having read it, I can be pretty unbiased personally in both of these ratings. But a personal rating, I'll give Wiccan, like, from not having read the comics, I'm trying to be slightly a conservative. I'll give him like a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I can work.
Just because. I haven't read the comics, but just based on what his powers are, I usually don't like reading like those kind of powers because to me it's kind of just like at any moment you could just flip the page and be like, no, I rewrite it and I'm done with it. But again, I am slowly getting into more Marvel comics, so I tried to give it a conservative rating where I'm like I can't go too high. I gotta kind of go with what realistically would make sense, and then only because he's so new. And in terms of how important he is to the Marvel Universe, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Because he has the potential to be like a mainstay in the comics / world ender, but he hasn't obviously done enough yet to really like hit the big screen, so to speak.
No, yeah. Volume 2?
In terms of the comic world. But
Volume 2 of Young Avengers, Loki was like, you want to do that? You want to do that right now? And he's like, no.
So now we go to your ratings. Again, the first one can be as biased as you want, your personal rating, but then you have to give him the second rating of how important is he to the Marvel Universe on 1 out of 10.
Okay. So my personal rating, it's got to be like an 11 out of 10. Okay.
Okay. That's I figured. I figured that.
If you couldn't tell by the entire episode, he is my favorite character. So much.
Right.
I love him so much. Unbiased. Maybe like an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Because paired with his husband, they are both really, really important to space. Considering they are the king and crown prince of space currently in the comics right now. They like rule space. And sometime in the future, Billy will claim the title of Sorcerer Supreme, which makes him a little important, just not right now.
Okay.
When? I don't know. But he will. They said at the end of the first run of, and I said this earlier, the end of the first run of Young Avengers, it like shows them like in the future, Teddy and Billy like living happily ever after, and he has like the outfit on of the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like not exactly what Doctor Strange wears, but it's the same gist of an outfit.
Right.
So he is very important.
Gotcha. Okay. I can understand that. So that on that note, on the potential future of what Wiccan could be, that is going to do it for this edition of Between the Panels. Just a fun little concept here on the Phantom Effect, and enjoy it while you last. Because if we decide to turn this into an exclusive show, you might only catch it on our YouTube, which is at the Phantom Effect.
Subscribe
or our Facebook, which is at Phantom Effect. You might not get to catch it other places, so you gotta show the support now. But again, if you haven't made it this far in the episode, do make sure just to like it, subscribe it, leave a review, read it on the air, etc., etc. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Phantom Effect. You can email us as well at thephantomeffectpodcast@gmail.com if you have a fandom that you want us to dive into. And again, it doesn't have to be nerdy. It can literally be anything. If you are passionate about sewing,
I am.
Yeah, you are. If you're passionate about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like random things that you could be like. I don't know, like pipe smoking has like a niche fandom, people who like smoke specific pipes, and it's got to be like made out of certain wood and material, and like blah blah blah. Whatever it is, we'll dive into anything. That's what we do here.
Stay tuned next week. We're going to talk about pipe smoking.
Pipes. You just got to let us know. Send us that email. We'll dive into pretty much anything that you might want us to dive into.
Send us an email at thefandomeffectpodcast@gmail.com, please.
Yeah. And you can also catch myself on Twitch at twitch.tv/BushidoGeek. You can technically catch both of us on Instagram. Sam's over at Sam the Man Cosplay. Mine should still be Bushido Geek Cosplay, but I have to get my Instagram back up and running.
Yeah, you do.
If you do want to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Best two ways, though, are right now is going to our Patreon, which is just patreon.com/ I think it's Phantom Effect Podcast. If you pretty much just search Phantom Effect, our stuff on Patreon will show up. And if you want to show additional support, you can buy some of our merch. We got Christmas coming up. It's a perfect time to buy merch. Mm-hmm. T-shirts, mugs, everything like that. You can just go to teespring.com / the Phantom Effect, or Phantom Effect, and they will both pop up. And like I said, they're both really good ways to support, and get them while you can. We're doing some new cool stuff with logos. And I won't tease who I'm interviewing tomorrow, because on the off chance that something goes wrong, which it's podcasting, stuff can literally change at any moment,
any second.
Yeah. I'm not going to teach just yet, but hopefully I'll be interviewing somebody really cool tomorrow, and that episode will air probably after the new year. But yeah, we've been hitting the ground running.
Yeah, we're
the past couple of weeks. So,
and I don't run.
Yeah, we've been going real strong.
Yeah,
we got a lot of good stuff going. Almost done. Thank you.
Also, when this episode airs, it will be Friday. I will be at C2E2, so please follow me at Sam the Man Cosplay, because I will be videotaping live there on my Instagram, and B, recording for future things. So stay tuned to see whatever those are going to be. Follow the Patreon, stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and eventually we'll make an Instagram for the actual once the other thing gets up and running, then we'll make an Instagram.
Thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, wink,
the
wink.
Other thing. Wink, wink. Then we'll go ahead and we'll do an Instagram for the whole thing.
Got it.
But that'll do it for this edition of Phantom Effect Podcast. Make sure you stay tuned every Friday, bright and early. And bonus episodes, when they do come out, will be on Tuesdays. And if you're interested in being a sponsor for the Phantom Effect, we are open for sponsorship for the next following months. So get in while you can before we have to charge you more money for it.
Yeah,
we're cheap now. Right now. We're cheap now. We're cheap now, but that's not going to last forever. So
no, so get them while it's cheap.
Cameron, any last words? What's better, Marvel or DC?
Come on, Cameron. Say the right thing.
Which one? DC? There it is. Good job, Cameron.
Damn it, Cameron. Oh, DC, I have one last thing I got to say. My sister will kill me if I don't. I'm supposed to give her a shout out because I saw that. I'm supposed to give my sister a shout out because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't like Wiccan like I do. So thank you, Alex. And now we can end it.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll see you bright and early, 7 a.m. in the morning. And
I'll be in the car.
I'll be drunk. I don't know. I'll be at a wedding. I'll be getting ready for a wedding, so I don't know. But we'll see you guys very soon. Next edition of Phantom Effect Podcast. And stay tuned because a lot of exciting things coming up. A lot of exciting things. Okay, bye.
Bye.